Welcome to UrFaculty.com, a premier test preparation portal for GRE, CAT and bank exams. Today we are going to deal with time, speed and distance. Okay. Let's try to understand what this concept deals with. So, I think you know these standard terms: time, speed and distance. You would have come across in your classes and 6th standard, 7th standard about this. Just to give a basic idea, if you are riding a bike, what do you see in it? You see kilometer per hour or miles per hour. So what does this mean? It just means that speed is equal to distance, which is shown in kilometer here, by time, which is shown in hours, which is then represented as kilometer per hour. So it is very easy for you to remember. It's a simple formula. Speed is equal to distance by time. Now, that is what I have represented here, which I have put it as S is equal to D by T. Now, what does this mean? This means that you can cross multiply and finally say that distance is equal to speed into time and vice versa. So again, time is equal to distance by speed. So I hope it's very clear. Now, what does this all mean? For us to do our problems in a quick pace, we need to understand certain concepts. So, from this formula of speed is equal to distance by time, what will happen if distance increases and time remains constant? If distance increases and you have to reach the same place in the given time, the constant time, your speed has to increase. Let's try to understand. Let's say you travel 10 kilometers in 1 hour and now you are asked to travel 20 kilometers in 1 hour. How will you travel? You have to increase the speed of your drive. So which means earlier you had to travel at 10 kilometer per hour and now you have to travel at 20 kilometer per hour. I'll explain it again. Let's assume that there's a point A and B. It's away by 10 kilometer and you generally traveled at 1 hour. Now, if you have to travel the same distance in the same given time, 20 kilometers, if it has just 1 hour, what is the speed? 10 kilometer per hour. Now, if you have to travel 20 kilometer, your speed has to be 20 kilometer per hour, right? So it's pretty simple. So I hope you understand this. All this leads to just a simple point. It just means that speed is directly proportional to distance, which means if distance increases, speed increases. For you also to remember this, it is very simple. The numerators, when they increase, the other one on the numerator will also increase. Now, speed will decrease when time increases. Is that clear? Speed will decrease when the time increases because they are inversely proportional. So that's what we are represented here. You can apply the same concept across. Now if it is distance with respect to time, if distance increases, time also increases and they are directly proportional. So same applies, distance is directly proportional to speed as well. So I hope you understand this. We will apply these concepts in our problems that we move forward. So I'll move on to the next, to our first problem now. If Ram walks at the rate of 5 km per hour, he misses a bus by 7 minutes. If he walks at the rate of 6 km per hour, he reaches 5 minutes early. Find the distance traveled to catch the bus. So what are the key points here? He misses the bus by 7 minutes and at 6 km per hour, he reaches 5 minutes early. Right? Now, how do you start the problem? Let's say that let the distance be x. So that's what you have to calculate. Let the distance be x. Now, if let's say he has to catch the bus at 9 a.m. right? So if he walks at the rate of 5 km per hour, okay, he misses the bus by 7 minutes. So he reaches the bus stop only at 9:07 a.m. And if he walks at 6 km per hour, he reaches 5 minutes early, which is 8:55 a.m. So to solve this problem, the key is to understand the difference in the time. And what is the difference here? The difference here is 12 minutes, right? So we know that the difference between the two speeds in terms of minutes, the difference in time is basically 12 minutes. Now the problem is in front of your eyes. So we know that distance by speed minus distance by speed is equal to 12 minutes. What are you trying to say here? If he travels at 5 km per hour and travels an x distance versus he travels at 6 km per hour at x distance, the difference is 12 minutes. Any doubts here? If you have any doubts, you can always send us a mail at info@urfaculty.com. This will actually solve the problem. What I'm trying to do here is basically arriving at the time. You know that distance by speed is equal to time. So this is the time taken to travel at 5 km per hour. This is the time taken to travel at 6 km per hour. So the difference of these is 12 minutes. And finally, if you solve it, what do you get? It's pretty simple. You get as x by 30 is equal to 12 by 60. Why am I converting it to 60? Because it has to be converted into hours. 5 and 6 are in kilometer per hour, so this has to be converted into hours. So, sorry, it's x by 30. So what do you get? You get x is equal to 6. So what is that? The distance traveled to catch the bus is 6 kilometer. I hope you understood this problem. We'll now move on to the next one. Two trains A and B from Chennai and start from Chennai and Trivandrum respectively. They travel towards each other at 50 km per hour, 60 km per hour. When they meet, train B had traveled 120 km per hour. This is key here. Then A. Find the distance between the two stations. Friends, I'm not showing here the basic problems like I travel 10 km in 2 hours, what is my speed? So the basic problems which involve just substitution of data like d is equal to speed into time, I am not doing it here. So I'm getting into the complex problems that you come across in any of these exams. Okay, so let's start with our basic assumptions. We have to find out the distance between the two stations, right? To do that, first we need to understand the distance traveled by both the trains. So when they meet, so let's say distance traveled by train A equal to x and distance traveled by train B is equal to, this is key here, we know that train B had traveled 120 kilometers more than train A. So what does that mean? When they meet, they would have traveled, train B would have traveled 120 plus X. This is the distance traveled by A. Okay. Now, let's try to understand the problem now. Train A started from Chennai and it started moving towards a point. Train B started from Trivandrum and started moving towards Chennai. They meet at a point, let's call it as X. During that time, A had traveled X and B had traveled 120 plus X. And what is key here is the whole distance 120 plus X will actually give the total distance between the stations. Right? Now, since time is constant here, why is time constant? Because they start at the same time and they meet at a point. So since time is a constant here, all that we have to do here is distance traveled by A, X by the speed at which it traveled, 50, is equal to distance traveled by B, 120 plus X by what is the speed? 60. These two quantities are same. Why? Because if we say it is T1 and this is T2, they start at the same point and meet at the same time. They start at the same time and meet at the same time. So T1 is actually equal to T2 here. So these two values are same. So if you now, that's it. Once you arrive at this equation, it is very simple. All that we have to do is, it is 60x is equal to 50x plus 120 into 50 is equal to 66,000, which would mean 10x is equal to 6,000 and x is equal to 600. And what is x? X is distance traveled by A. And what are we supposed to find out? We are supposed to find out the distance between the two stations. So it's pretty simple. The answer is 600 plus 600 plus 120. That's the answer. Okay, now let me move on to the next question. Ratio between the speeds of A and B is 2:3. A takes 10 minutes more than B to reach a destination. If A had traveled at double the speed, how long will it take for A to cover the distance? Okay, we are going to apply in this case our proportionality concept. So, ratio of the speeds is given as 2:3. So, speed is inversely proportional to time. So, what will be the ratio of the time in that case? As simple as that. You just need to inverse it. Now, let time taken by B be x. And A be x plus 10 because A takes 10 minutes more than B. Fine. So what do we do now? It's very simple now. All that we have to do is x plus 10 by x is equal to 3 by 2. The ratio of the time x plus 10 by x is equal to 3 by 2. X plus 10 by x is equal to 3 by 2. A is to B. That's it. You solve it, you get x is equal to 20. So time taken by B equal to 20 and A is equal to 30 minutes. And what is the question? If when A doubles the speed, the distance will be covered in 15 minutes, which is half of this one, if A doubles it. Thank you.